I was going to ask you that. So, so let's talk about it. But let me say one word about testing and then come back to the classroom. Um, the alternatives to high stakes standardized testing are things that people have done. People like you have done them, and many good teachers do them in their normal functioning as teachers. We all want to know where our kids are. What are they doing? What's their best work? We want to understand them as learners. So one of the things I would think that we would come up with if we spent enough time on this is we'd come up with the idea of portfolios. My kids went to a school in New York City where to graduate from the high school, you had to present a portfolio of 12 items. And in those 12 items were test scores and grades. I mean, that's the world they live in. But the other 10 were so exciting. Your best piece of art, the best essay that you wrote, 3 drafts of the best essay you wrote, a reading autobiography projected 5 years forward. What do you need to be a more educated person? What do you need to read to be a more educated person, a more participatory citizen? Things like that. Wow, a critique of a public piece of art, a physical challenge that you made for yourself and met. Whoa, now that to me is great thinking, because take the physical challenge. My kids were healthy and robust and strong and 14 years old, but one of their classmates was in a wheelchair. They had different physical challenges. One of my kids wanted to say, I'll run a marathon. This kid in the wheelchair wanted to say he could make the Special Olympics team in basketball. Those are different physical challenges. But you see, that's what really that pushes us back into the classroom. We want a classroom that's embedded in a community, that serves the interests of that community in a powerful way. We want connections between parents, community members, and schools. We want the community to feel at home in the school and the school to feel at home in the community. Not some gated place where we have kind of colonial education going on. That's where we begin. And then we note that the normal range of what it means to be a 3-year-old or what it means to be a first grader is vast. Any attempt to narrow that normal range is a mistake. So I knew 5-year-olds who could read, and I knew 5-year-olds when I was an early childhood teacher who were peeing in their pants. I also knew 5-year-olds who were peeing in their pants while reading. I mean, the idea that somehow these are these separate elements are something we can. So what I want is a classroom that invites in the wide range of kids into the classroom, that has something familiar and something strange for each of them, something to reach for, something to strive for, and something that they know and understand because it's part of their lives. I think that we can do this. I think it's hard work. I think it requires smaller schools and smaller classrooms. I think it requires nodding at teachers as the professionals they really are, the intellectual workers that they really are, and assuming that the work you do is intellectual and ethical work, and we ought to respect it on those grounds.
And that's fantastic here on our part, because our current grading system actually is portfolios.
In the portfolio I was describing, there was also a record of your community service, a record of your internship. I mean, in other words, you can expand this idea to go in all kinds of places. But the school that I'm referring to, in order to graduate, you had to defend your portfolio in front of a committee. I don't know if you guys do that, but it felt like going to Oxford University and getting a PhD. You had to sit there. You had 12 items in your portfolio. Your portfolio is all developed over 4 years, and you're sitting in front of 2 peers, a parent or caregiver, one of your parents or caregivers, community member, a teacher that you select, and your advisor. So 6 people are sitting there like a doctoral dissertation defense, and you're defending your portfolio to a group that's going to ask you questions. What a brilliant way to go through education. What a brilliant way to think of yourself as a thoughtful, working, hardworking, energetic young person launching into the adult world. I love that.